Pretty interesting. The phone calls went out this afternoon about the very latest in the Pac-12 TV saga. So we have some new details on that, as I think all of us heard today. And it's so funny how this is working in the Pac-12 now. And I don't know, I'm sure as fans, you guys have noticed this, but it's very interesting to me that we have a situation where whoever your source is, the message comes out across the board. We're not doing a TV deal until spring now, until late spring, early summer. I was told today they would love to have this done by the 4th of July. I'm like, okay, cool, man. That's cool. They believe it'll be done in June. Okay, that's cool. It's just interesting how across the board, everybody's like, yep, won't be done until late spring, early summer. And it's the Pac-12 trying to control its message. And Jake, I just don't know that they've done a very good job of that.
Well, no, I mean, I think that there was a lot of poor execution around, the president speaking when they did about 2 weeks ago. I think that the messages were all different. I think that they were not in lockstep on what they wanted to say and sort of how they wanted to characterize the conference. And really, I would say how they want to characterize the Big 12, because that's kind of the thing. I mean, everyone agrees that hey, the Pac-12 is, they're all going to tell you, oh, it's a viable conference and everything is great and we're all on the same page. But the reality is one president believes they would be happy to go to the Big 12. Another president thinks that the Big 12 is a pile of garbage. So, I mean, you hear the differences loud and clear. And it kind of paints this picture of a conference without leadership and a conference that's disorganized. And I think, I'm just going to keep saying it, and I'm tired of hearing it, and I'm tired of saying it, and I'm tired of talking about it too, but I just don't see a way where this conference gets to, $31.5 million, $31.7 million, I think is the exact number, that the Big 12 got for their schools. And I think it's just a situation where I think the Pac-12 believes that it can just kind of hang out, and the deal will get done when it gets done, and we'll be fine, and we'll just be on our merry way. And I think that that's what I struggle with, because the deal won't be fine. The deal won't live up to what it should. And I don't think you'll be fine. Right. So I don't know how you change that. Well,
and I don't think it's just going to do itself. I think there is a lot of people who believe in one way or the other that these things just kind of handle themselves. And I'm here to promise you they do not. And by the way, really excited to talk to John Kimball, the president at Real Salt Lake, about the business of sports, and that's going to include streaming and television. That's an hour from now, because I think that's what this conversation really is about. And I can tell you, talking to our source today about the Pac-12 and the TV situation, one of the things I asked about was, hey, like, what is the situation? Like, where in the process is the Pac-12? And I was told specifically that the Pac-12 got several proposals from distribution partners, but none of them met the minimum bar to submit them to all presidents in the Pac-12, the remaining 10. And I think that's a significant note, because there are deals being put together out there. There are proposals being tabled to the Pac-12, but I was told they're not even close to a deal that would even draw a vote. And I think that's really scary if you're the Pac-12, because here we are on April 6th, and you're not in a situation where you can say that you have a deal or even a proposal on the table that gives you a deal or the framework of a deal to move forward and get something finalized. I think that's a huge problem for this conference. And really, when you look at where the Pac-12 is, you have all the Pac-12 homers and mouthpieces, talking about how the conference is still very confident that they're going to get to $31 million or more. And, John Canzano in Portland, God bless him, but he is nothing more than a Pac-12 mouthpiece. Yeah. He says what they tell him to say. And when you're talking about eclipsing $31 million, ask yourself in your head, does that make sense when here we are in a situation with 1 year to go in this deal, and the spin about why it's not important to have a deal done, and that the Big Ten's deal wasn't done until August when there was a year left? What does that have to do with the price of tea in San Francisco this afternoon? It has nothing to do with it. The bottom line is the Pac-12 is in a very weak bargaining position. They have zero leverage. There is no reason for ABC and ESPN or NBC or Disney or Amazon to overpay to have the honor of being the distribution partner of the Pac-12. There's just no reason for that. And yes, while it's true that you have until July 1st, 2024,
right,
to get this deal, essentially done, because that's when you're going to be out of a deal. That's when the contract expires. Yeah, sure. Do you have a year to get a deal done? Yeah, but you don't have a year to keep your conference together. You have a year at that point to get a deal done for 5-6 teams that'll be left in the Pac-12, which is the tragedy of it all, because none of this had to happen. It's pure mismanagement and incompetence. And the fact that you're having distribution partners or prospective distribution partners tabling offers that aren't even good enough to present to membership, that's a huge problem. You're just summarily dismissing those. That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
It tells me that you are nowhere near the structure of a deal, either financially. My guess is that this has a lot to do with reach and exposure. I think it's very difficult to sit here and tell your mouthpiece and your whipping boy that, hey, we believe we're going to get more than the Big 12. You're either uninformed or you're incredibly arrogant, and maybe both. Because on what planet are Pac-12 television distribution rights or Pac-12 content distribution rights worth $31 million?
With all due respect.
In a world where we just had the lowest viewership in the history of the Final Four ever, you want more than $31 million.
Yeah.
You want more money than the premier basketball conference in the country, who's got a better football conference than you do as well. You believe you're worth more than that, but nobody's offered you that. And the offers that have come in haven't been good enough for you to send out to membership.
Right.
Come on now. Let's just be realistic about it. And I feel like, again, I know we tip off the show with this every single day.
As the Pac-12 turns.
But I think that's what people want to talk about.
Yeah.
I think that's what most people are trying to figure out. And frankly, the other thing I think that's working against the Pac-12 right now, there is not another thing in the world going on.
No.
NFL is silent. The draft is 3 weeks away, I guess. You have the Masters going on today. There's nothing going on.
Baseball is just getting going.
We're waiting for the NBA season to end. There is nothing going on. So the entire, Rockies to the West is all focused on why you're so damn incompetent.
Hey, guys.
That's honest to God, that is the truth.
Yeah, the timing is not great for the Pac-12. And I do think that, generally speaking, I think most people who are Pac-12 fans and who are like big football fans and following this story are beginning to understand that, yeah, maybe the deal isn't going to be as good as they said it was going to be initially. Maybe we are going to have to kind of take our beating on this deal just to survive, and then we'll see kind of what we can put together.
And I honestly think this messaging that we're seeing and this continued talking about this deal from Pac-12 presidents, I seriously think this is an effort to simply make sure that there is some positive spin in the world.
Yeah, we got to make sure the optics look right, right? I mean, that's what it is.
That's all I can think of. And again, if I were the Pac-12, I would be using Canzano as well, because he is lock, stock, and barrel 100% reliant on whatever is happening in the Pac-12.
What I just said.
That's that dude's entire world. So how many times have we heard from Canzano, oh, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
The domino's going to fall on this day, and it never happens. And this is going to happen, and it never happens. Because he's in a position where he essentially has a hand from the Pac-12 in his pocket. And you continue to see guys like Stuart Mandel.
Yeah.
Guys like Pete Thamel, who I think is one of the best college athletics insiders in the country at ESPN.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the same thing. This is an incredibly steep hill to climb. But yet Canzano's over there saying we're going to get more money than the Big 12. Okay, dude.
You keep living and dying on that hill, my guy.
And I know the dominoes fell, but I just don't see how this works out.
Yeah.
I truly don't. And it is,
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think that people
it's frustrating is what it is.
I mean, it is. And I think this, the other side of this conversation is the burnout factor on the conversation itself. I think you make a great point that there's really nothing going on in the world right now for sports. I mean, listen, I'm as big a golf fan as anybody. We've had the Masters on damn near all day, and it's been awesome. But the reality of the situation is the Masters is not college football. The Masters is not the NFL. The Masters is not even the NBA, in my opinion. And the trouble is that there is such a thirst, I think, for the Pac-12 to burn to the ground.
Yeah.
That people are hungry for this story, and it's like, damn, dude, like what we just talked about is the update. There really isn't more of an update.
I do think this idea. That you've had multiple offers from prospective TV partners that have not met the minimum threshold to present them to conference membership, I think is a huge problem. I think that is a very interesting, I don't know what, conundrum, development, whatever you want to say it is.
Yeah.
I think it's incredibly interesting that you have a situation where you have people making you offers and you won't even present them because it's a no. And I still maintain the single biggest hurdle remaining in this deal is not getting a partnership with some distributor.
Right.
It's getting 10 people to sign off on that deal and give you their grant of rights. And I think that is the single biggest problem because I frankly don't believe that all 10 of these teams are going to do that.
Yeah.
I just don't. And hey, if it's $40 million, if we live by the Canzano's theory of hallucination and
ayahuasca.
you're getting more than the Big 12, all 10 teams will sign off or all 10 universities will sign off on it. But I just don't see a way that that's capable of coming to fruition.
Yeah.
Like if any of the people we've talked to, and for better or for worse, say what you want about this show, we have not been wrong on this yet.
Yeah.
We've heard a maximum of 25 million, and that was last fall. And at the new year, that kind of stepped down to, okay, well, we're going to be, parsing this out. It's going to be a streamer, and it's going to be ESPN and ABC.
Oh.
And it's going to be $22 million. Okay. And then we heard like a month ago, we told you first and exclusively on this show, confirmed with sources at ESPN and throughout the television universe, that ESPN was capping their contribution to this at $90 million a year. Done. All in $90 million a year.
Right.
Football and a little bit of basketball, and that was where they were going to end up.
Right.
And now you start hearing about, well, Amazon and Apple. And you're like, okay, well, if ESPN's at $9 million a year, is there a streamer out there that's willing to pay $13 million a year? I think that's the number. I think they are out chasing somebody that will get them to as close to $25 million as possible. And I don't see how that becomes a reality.
I don't even know how it's possible.
But I think they're capped at $22 million.
Yeah, I mean,
I
the
think
math
that's
suggests it. I mean, the math in the marketplace suggests 22 is kind of the cap, but I mean, look around. Like, there's you guys know the streaming options, Apple TV and Amazon, and the couple of options. So it's not like there's some dark horse option just sitting here waiting in the shadows, waiting to pop up and pounce on the situation. I mean, we know what the options are, and that's why I kind of struggle with the Canzano stuff because I know. Like, I know what we've shared with you guys. What the like as an example, Amazon only wants 1 game a week. We know that. They don't want 7 or 6 or whatever 5 games a week. They don't want that much inventory because they don't want to pay that much money to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, Amazon's out the picture. What about Apple TV?
But I don't know that Amazon's out of the picture. I think Amazon, and this is just my opinion, based on things that I've heard and people I've talked to, I think Amazon is not going to take tier 1 rights. And this idea, dude, I've asked a lot of people in and around Fox about their involvement, and I have not been told one bit that Fox is competing at a high level for Pac-12 rights.
Yeah.
Not at all. And, again, and maybe we should just stop talking about the guy's stuff, but Canzano writing that FS1 needs programming. No, they don't.
Yeah.
FS1 is already pushing programming out to secondary Fox networks.
Yes.
So FS1 doesn't need programming. FS1 has Major League Baseball. FS1 it does. I mean, they do NASCAR. They do Xfinity Series. Like, they have so much programming in the fall. They have, I mean, so much. Never mind Major League Baseball in the spring and summer.
Yeah.
Like, they're not hurting for programming.
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. And you look at the other deals that they have, you look at...
Yeah.
I'm just telling you now, FS1 does not need like tier 1 level.
But isn't that classic? Isn't that classic Canzano? I mean, that's just what it just, you know, like.
Listen, I don't know John personally. He's been on my show 1,000 times throughout my career. I don't know John personally, but it's becoming very clear that the Pac-12 needed a Huckleberry, and they got that in John Canzano.
Yeah.
Because the problem for me is, and the reason it annoys the hell out of me is, people are like, oh, did you see what he wrote? Did you see what he wrote? No, don't subscribe to his site, man. Behind a paywall, I'm not going to pay for it. Oh, well, he XYZ, and it's like, okay, cool, man. Like that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But what did Stuart Mandel say about it? What did, like, those are the guys I trust. If I'm gonna go to somebody, yeah, exactly right. Hey, what did Dennis Dodd say about it? What did Stuart Mandel say about it?
Yeah.
You know, like, what did John Wilner say about it? What did Andrew Marchand say about it? Those are the guys that I trust.
And I think kind of what you were alluding to, like, it doesn't make John a bad guy. I just think that John's in a certain position, and I think that position makes it so that he can't be unbiased about what actually is happening in the Pac-12. And I guess with the stage that we're at in this conversation, when you start saying things like the Pac-12, like, you have people in the room telling you that they're going to get more than 31.5 or whatever, like, you start to lose me, because I know that that's just not, there's not a route to that.
Well, and again, John Kimball, the president of Real Salt Lake, is going to join us, and I'm fascinated to talk to him about, amongst other things, because I think RSL has so much going on, but MLS is in this really interesting situation that is not dissimilar to where the Pac-12 is at TV-wise. If you look at their TV deal, and I give MLS a lot of credit for going all in on streaming. I will again say, if I were the Pac-12, I'd be all in on Amazon Prime Sports. I would. I think that's the next thing. But if you look at MLS right now, there's a real struggle to get American football fans, soccer fans, over to Apple TV. And I think that's the one thing about this MLS Apple TV deal that is really important to kind of consider. And us as sports fans, I think everybody in this room, you're exactly who they're targeting.
Yes.
So if you look at the struggle that it has been to get MLS fans to assimilate to Apple TV, even with free deals at the T-Mobile, thank you. Free deals at T-Mobile, where if you're a T-Mobile customer now, if you're a new customer, you get free MLS Pass. Yeah. And
I mean, they're going to lengths to get people to do it.
And they're spending money to market it, and they're still struggling with assimilation, right?
Yeah, and I think it's again, supply and demand, right? I mean, this is I mean, whether it's MLS or the Pac-12, like again, if you don't have demand for your product, you can market your ass off, but ultimately that's not going to change things. And I think that is what the Pac-12 truly just doesn't understand. And you know, whether it's you know, President Randall or President Robbins or President Kosei or whoever, like the fact is that you have to tell your story on your own right now. You have to build that brand value, and they're just not.
And I think, you know, think about it. Compare the Pac-12 to MLS.
Yeah.
MLS, Real Salt Lake, had a really good local TV presence. That's how I consumed it. You know, I go to half a dozen games a year. I am a huge soccer fan. I think everybody who watches this show knows I'm a Chelsea FC fan.
Yeah.
Like, passionate about it.
Yeah.
I enjoy going to MLS matches. But I also enjoyed watching David James on television call those matches. David James, for our national audience, is the local play-by-play voice of RSL on TV. The problem is Bill Riley was a fantastic play-by-play voice on the radio.
Yes.
David James has really struggled to call games on the radio because he's a TV guy. In soccer specifically, calling games on the radio is very different than calling games on TV.
Well, and I think it's this concept of, hey, we're just gonna throw something together. We're just gonna.
But it's not just throw something together. Here's the problem with that. I wonder, did MLS consider the revenue stream that was lost on the local broadcast market? I think that's the question. When you talk about throwing something together, that's the question. How much money was lost on that local TV deal? Is there a revenue stream there that's no longer there? Now, is it more incumbent on teams like RSL to win matches, build points? Like right now, Real Salt Lake's on the outside looking in at the MLS playoffs. We have a marathon to run here. But they're on the outside looking in at the playoffs. If you don't have home matches that are sold out, and you're not selling shirts, and you're not selling hats, and you're not selling hot dogs and hamburgers, and you don't have a local TV deal, I wonder how much that impacts you. And it is something that I think it's a fascinating conversation around the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Because does Cal need to now win games? If you're all on stream or if you're making $22 million a year, tell me that Cal doesn't need to win games to make money in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Because they're not getting the Nike money that Oregon's getting.
Yeah.
They're not getting the built-in crowd that Washington gets. They're not sold out at Rice Eccles in Salt Lake City the way Utah is. You look at some of these, Stanford, who even when they're at their best, they only sell half their tickets at the Farm for football.
Yeah.
Right? And if your TV money now comes in lower, how much more are you going to reach into your pocket to subsidize athletics? Because football pays the bills for just about everybody. Right? And now you have a historically low Final Four. Granted, they're locked into their CBS TV deal for years, right? I think 6 more years on the NCAA tournament deal at CBS. Historically low Final Four for UConn and San Diego State. What does that say about the state of college basketball and the money that's going to be made or not made on TV when you have mid-majors like San Diego State and UConn, who I think is a mid-major? And great, go ahead and call them a blue blood.
Go
ahead and call them a blue blood, but nobody's excited to watch UConn on television.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it.
Yep.
And they're a basketball only because their football team doesn't move the needle. Their football program doesn't move the needle at all. So, again, call me a hater, say what you want to say. I feel like MLS is a very interesting test balloon for going in on streaming altogether.
Yeah, I think, the only thing I would say, I mean, I agree with that. And I think that the thing I struggle with what they've done with it is, like, you're marketing through telephone companies, through phone companies. Like, who thought that was going to be a good idea? Like, why would you not?
I understand that, though. You don't think that? I mean, the being on a mobile phone is our lifeblood. I can tell you that right now.
Right, but that's not the only way to get on a mobile phone. Obviously, like if you're trying to get a sports fan, you need to connect the person who's in their house with their kids watching stuff on their phone to your product. So how do you do that? Well, you do that in a variety. You can do it in a variety of different ways, but I don't think just giving it to somebody who's picking up a phone at T-Mobile and saying, hey, by the way, since you got this plan, you get access to Apple TV Plus and the MLS package. How do you know that person actually even wants the MLS package? That's the thing I've always struggled with that concept. You need to get your product in front of people who want to consume it. So, that's great that you're on Apple TV, but ultimately you got to be, doing a great job in this deal of getting, highlights and getting content and getting all that stuff out to people who already want MLS content, who ideally are not on Apple TV. That's how you grow an audience. And that's when I say throw stuff together, that's what I'm talking about. Like, hey, we're going to go all in on streaming, and I'm with you. I love that. I think it's great. But there are going to be inherent challenges initially that you have to overcome that I think maybe, I don't know if they didn't account for them or what happened, but clearly it just hasn't panned the way that either of them want.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. What's up this hour of the show presented by our good friends at TryDayTrading.com. You guys, so good to hear so many of our viewers going and getting the $10 30-day membership, please go and do it. Hook it up at trydaytrading.com. You know, it is $10. That's a charitable donation, so a tax write-off. And I say every day on this show, if you're tired of your boss or you hate going to work and you've always had that dream of working for yourself, day trading is absolutely the way to do that. It is lucrative. You are going to make a ton of money because at trydaytrading.com, very simply, they are the best day trading institution in the country when it comes to, hey, let me teach you how to be a prolific day trader. It's a pretty simple process. If you look on the screen, look at step number 2 right there. $10 will be donated to a charitable organization. You get a 30-day membership. Try out their program. You get one-on-one coaching with your own professional day trading coach to trade using their proprietary leading indicators, their own algorithms and systems that teach you how to make hundreds and thousands of dollars every single day. And that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
I hope people understand that. TryDayTrading.com. So all I'm asking you to do right now, go to TryDayTrading.com no matter where you are in this great country of ours, coast to coast, all throughout North America.
Yeah.
TryDayTrading.com. Spend $10 to change the rest of your life. That's all I'm asking you to do. It's $10. You get a 30-day membership to learn how to be a prolific day trader. Their graduates of their program are making thousands of dollars a day doing it full time. They have people who do it as a side hustle that make hundreds of dollars a day.
Yes.
And I ask you again, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
I mean, imagine having your car payment covered. Imagine having
your mortgage covered.
Even your mortgage. Yeah. I mean, it's just there's just no reason not to give it a shot. And you know, I'll be candid with you guys. We got some numbers back today, and there are quite a few people who have tried it this month, and there are quite a few people who tried it who are staying in the program because it works. And I think, and again, you know, we always try to tell you guys like, hey, like we try to give you opportunities where it's like, hey, go and try this. Like, you know, Bucked Up's free link, Try Day Trading. Like, there's all these things that we give you guys to try that don't cost you a ton of money. I mean, it literally is $10 to go and see for 30 days if you like this program. And we know, not our opinion, we know from TryDay, they've told us, hey, Monty Show listeners are checking out the program, and it's working for them. So if you haven't tried it, go find it.
TryDayTrading.com. And again, I'm just going to put this up here real quick so you guys can see it. Go check out the website. You'll see right here in the middle of the stage, in the middle of the page, you go to step 2, try us out for 30 days, and it's 20 seconds. You fill out a form, your name, your full name, your email address, and then there's a drop down that says, where'd you hear about us? Click on the Monty Show. Boom. They'll give you a 10-day membership for 30 days at TryDayTrading.com. All right, enough of us. More of you. Don't forget John Kimball, the president of Real Salt Lake, will join us coming up here in about 25, 30 minutes. Right at 4 o'clock, John will join the program to talk about the business of RSL. And I really am looking forward to talking to him about the impact that the TV deal has had on his bottom line. That's coming up at 4 o'clock. First one in today. Let me go all the way back to the top.
By the way, back to the top.
You guys, phenomenal job. I appreciate you. Yesterday was one of the biggest membership days we've ever had on the show. If you'd like to become a member, it ranges from $1.99 all the way up to $9.99. For $9.99, you get into our Instagram members only group, which, trust me, is everything from sports, our dogs, Laurie Markkinen serving in the Finnish military over the summer. Like, we talk about everything in there, and it's really a great community. So for $9.99, you get into that, but for $1.99, you join the show. We read all your comments first, such as C. Kaufman, who's a member of the show. He says, good day, casuals. How much longer can the schools in the PAC wait? They need to start planning for 2024 and soon. I agree.
Good casual.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a long time. I don't think that schools in this conference are willing to sit here and just wait.
No.
I truly do not. Mike Chase says, just curious, Monty, if a PAC team leaves, does a TV deal go down if they have already offered? Anytime, and I think, you know, Commissioner Navarez from the Mountain West talked about this on the show. Anytime a team comes into or leaves your conference, the TV deal gets reworked. So the problem is if you sign a grant of rights, you have to pay to get out of that grant of rights.
Right.
So that's why schools in the Pac-12 are so hesitant to sign a grant of rights.
And that's the issue
right
in
now.
the ACC, right? I mean, the
Yes.
ACC exit penalty is massive. $500 million. I mean, that's why they're still just sitting there.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Truck Stop Gumby said, I just had Chick-fil-A Nuggies.
Dude, why are you going to Chick-fil-A?
Why are you going to Chick-fil-A,
Why are you going to
man?
Chick-fil-A, dude? Come on, dude.
Nate Simons, who's a member, says, hello, guys. Hope it stops snowing on you in Utah. Yeah, it's a beautiful 50-degree sunny day. Bluebird day in Utah today. Crazy how the weather's changed. Cowboy Rev says, let's have a great show as always. There's plenty of toast for all the butter. Says, hope everyone is having a good day. Thanks for doing the show every day and interacting with the community. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate that. Let's see. From that program, they are suggesting 2 ways to get more linear, which neither equals Big 12 visibility. First is PAC Network. Second is ION. Well, what I would tell you is that I don't think that ION Scripts is, and I'll ask again, but I don't believe that ION Scripts is involved. I don't. I mean, they came on our show and told us straight away we're not involved with the Pac-12.
Yeah.
That's what they said. We're not involved in their deal. So I have anytime you hear that ION Script is involved, and again, while we're sitting here, I'll send an email to our guy at Scripps and ask him. But I just don't think that they're involved. I really don't.
Yeah.
Big 12 number 1 BYU. BYU will own the Big 12. No, not in the near term. He also says, first time catching a live video. Good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
Good to see you.
Alexander Schmitley. Big 12 versus Big East matchup announced today. K-State plays Villanova. What do I always tell you guys? Another week, another big announcement from the Big 12. They just keep making them, dude. They just keep making deals. And this one with the Big East is an ongoing relationship.
Yeah.
But they just keep going. Christopher Shannon says, of course, the Pac-12 is deranged. Don't disagree. Don't disagree at all. Patrick Boren says, Sick'em 365 saying the date is being bumped out even further. Yeah, I think they'd like to have a deal. It depends on who in the league you talk to.
Yeah.
I think they'd like to have a deal done by July 1st.
Yeah.
Just, again, trying to filter all the information that we get on it, I think it's July 1st.
I think
that's my opinion.
That presidents feel like they have a lot of time. And I know I keep saying that. And I know it's something we talk about a lot. But I genuinely feel that they feel that way. That they think that, hey, we would have just started negotiating this thing. Like, we have plenty of time. Like, it's all good. And that's why pushing out the date is what they want to do. And
I think it's incredibly foolish to have presidents talking to the media.
Yeah, well,
I think it's a huge mistake. But
who's going to say that to them? And this is the Pac-12's problem. I mean, the commissioner in any company or business should be the one doing the talking, not presidents. And that's the tough part.
I think that comment from President Robbins on Big 12 numbers, this one right here, I know what the Big 12 number is. I just need to hear what the Pac-12 number is, and I can make a decision. I think that's the one that will live in infamy, because you don't walk that back. Because
Sometimes
what is he?
I think I just say shit.
What is President Robbins at Arizona saying there? Well, I know that it's $31 million in the Big 12. If it's less than that in the Pac-12, I'm going to go to the Big 12. And then I can make a decision. You don't walk that back.
Yeah.
You don't go to your next source. You don't go to Canzano and say, hey, dude, I need you to put this out. And then think that that's just going to be okay.
Yeah.
So for everybody saying that, hey, or President Robbins said this or that, or what he said to Dennis Dodd about the school's proximity to the Big 12 footprint and the league's powerhouse basketball brand as the basis for some affinities, and then to turn around and also say, I just need to hear what the Pac-12's number is, and then I'll make a decision.
I want it.
That's a huge problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem.
Yep.
Sorry, man. You don't walk that back. And it just doesn't matter to me It just doesn't matter to me that you can spin that any way you want.
Yeah.
You just said as soon as you find out what the Pac-12 number is, you'll make a decision on staying or going.
Which would suggest, hey, whichever number's bigger is where I'm going.
There's no walking that back.
Yeah, dude.
Right? And to Utah's credit, Utah's made it very clear. We don't feel like we're a fit in the Big 12. We want to stay in the Pac-12. All right, cool. To Arizona's credit, they've made it very clear. They have no allegiances. It's all about that bread, dude.
Yep.
And I have no problem with them saying that. I have no problem with them saying that whatsoever. I really don't. Bryce Martin says, I feel the Pac-12 members like Utah and Cal will eventually just take a bad deal to stay together rather than split. Well, I think that's absolutely a chance. Lopes fan Gabe says, like button casuals. Absolutely. Please hit the like button. It really helps us grow. By the way, congratulations.
Yeah.
We passed 15,000 subscribers overnight. So we appreciate that very much. Thank you for being again, the best part of the show that we're at 15,000 subs is flipping fantastic.
5,000 more.
That we're pushing 500,000 views a month on this show is unbelievable.
Yes.
15,048. So if you're not a subscriber, please give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. It also would be really nice if you would hit the bell to get notifications when our content goes. So thank you for that. But yeah, unbelievable that you guys have gotten us to 15,000 subs. Thank you. Jeff, your name's Jeff, says this week as the Pac-12 turns. Exactly right. Capazzo, what's up, my guy in the GC? Well, of course the Pac is delusional. They always have been and always will be. I think that's exactly right.
It's sad, dude. Like,
Tanner Plummer in. Tanner, your guy's coming on the show in 23 minutes.
yeah, careful, dude. Careful.
You wanted RSL content, Tanner. You got it. John Kimball on the show in 23 minutes. Provo Cougar fan says, we love the full Monty Show. Thank you.